So this channel covers many things, fandoms, true crime, so on and so forth. But I want to actually be a little serious. I know a lot of my videos on old Aaronis and the Church of Aaronis tend to be fairly mocking. I still try to be serious here and there, but can't really take this water wars stuff too seriously. So I'll put out a few more videos on it. But what is Aaron up to? Because it does seem like he actually does want to go to jail. Because like Aaron just keeps baiting the police and Scientologists to do something. So clearly he actually does want to go to jail. So it's obviously very cynical that he hopes he goes to jail, his numbers will rise, and so on and so forth. Everyone will be happy. And again, even if he was up on charges, I don't know how serious this would be. But this is where the puzzle begins because it seemed he was genuinely angry and kind of nervous after his whatever you want to call it, blue powder protest day or silliness or nonsense. And I'm guessing he is getting the alert from other people because the police have really been kind of standoffish. They just don't seem to care anymore. They're like, whatever. We'll check in here and there, which would suggest they're building up a case, which is very similar to DOA, right? Where a lot of things were happening, and the DOA, right, whether you like them or not, had a few encounters with the police, but when these charges were being done, kind of like, wait a minute, if you thought this guy was such a criminal, why didn't you just arrest him earlier, bring him earlier? And the answer is, well, they didn't want him to stop. They wanted him to continue and continue and continue and continue onward and onward. So he racks up all these charges so that when they do bring him in, they overwhelm him with so many charges that you're like, oh, well, yeah, you may be innocent of 4 or 5 or 6 charges, but 16? They're going to catch you on something. So you're going to have to pay some kind of price. So the dilemma here is that DOA does have some resources. He's raised enough money, like $50,000. But obviously, Aaron has, relatively more resources. So why would he want to get into a legal battle with the church when he's been avoiding it for years and years and years? And I do think for his side, it's definitely the YouTube and the algorithm. That's what's driving it. But again, is this really all that intelligent? I mean, I should be the one celebrating if he does go to jail. But you have to be realistic what charges they could bring. And obviously, it wouldn't mean he goes to jail tomorrow, right? These things are drawn out. So you'd have to have a court date, you'd have to get a lawyer, they could postpone things, so on and so forth. But Aaron does seem to be genuinely worried that they might give him a serious charge. He could go away for real time, and that might not work out for him, right? It's one thing to go to jail for what, 3 to 4 months with a YouTube channel. That's going to not destroy your growth entirely. However, if you're put away for like a year and a half, yeah, that's going to create a lot of damage because just the way YouTube works, you have to keep constantly putting out material. And if you don't, YouTube is pretty ruthless. They'll just forget about you. It'll be really hard to climb back up. So it just seems like such a weird gamble that Aaron is up to. That's the only thing I could really figure out as to why he's doing what he does. But what is the structure of his thinking? Because obviously this isn't really the chess game I think he thinks it is, right? So let me just do devil's advocate. So if you do like these, quote, protests, which I don't think really are protests, you can say, well, this is public property. Whether I like Aaron or you like Aaron, this is just the First Amendment. Well, there's several problems here, right? One is the Trump administration. Again, whether people like to talk about politics with Scientology, it is there that the Trump administration has been more and more aggressive with all kinds of protests, with ICE, the police, the FBI. He is more directly letting it become politicized. It doesn't matter whether it's First Amendment. They will still arrest you. So that's one factor I'm sure Aaron has in the back of his mind. It really doesn't matter anymore, right? It could be First Amendment. They're still going to arrest you. You could be eventually released, but they're going to arrest you. So just flashing, oh, it's the First Amendment, doesn't mean very much now with Trump. I mean, it just does not. Second of all, it's not clear. This is such a blurry line of what they're doing to, quote, public property, right? Because you could just say, well, whatever, it's public property. Playing with chalk, really, what's the damage? Who cares? I agree, but this is not just one person putting up a few chalk drawings. He is literally creating a whole gang. And they're just putting chalk all over the place. And I think there are 2 tipping factors that are going to be really tricky for them to get around. One is that they are crowding that street, right? Normal people are just trying to walk by, but Aaron is already there bouncing around with his gang, right? That is not permitted in public. That is a different story. It'd also be another thing if this was a very well-organized dedicated kind of protests where people were dressed very seriously. They didn't really yell and scream. They just kept to themselves. But they're not doing it that way. They're just doing this. They're just doing a really silly, weird beer pizza party in public. Which again, you can do within limits. But this is not like just doing a little party on a corner of the park. This is literally like having a really noisy barbecue party and constantly moving that party that it gets in other people's faces, whether they're Scientologists or not. That's a different matter. It's not clear that public property is there for that reason. The whole point of it is it's public property. It's not meant to be exclusively used by you or the Scientologists, right? It can swing the other way. We're saying, well, no, the point is not for this group of protesters to take over the public property. That is not what it's there for. It should still be available for others. But if people just want to walk by the sidewalk or just walk by the Scientology building, you can question their motives. But if, quote, non-Scientologists want to do that, what about their rights? They're just like, listen, I don't want to get involved in this protest. I don't care about the Scientologists. I don't care about you. I should be allowed, within reason, to just walk by, not get arrested, not get molested, not get screamed at, right? That's a right too. So I think Aaron realizes that, talking to his own lawyer friends, that, yeah, he's kind of abusing what concept of public property is. It's not the way it works. I understand from his perspective, not that I care about him. I think I understand what he's trying to do, but it doesn't make any sense. I'm sure in his wombat brain, the equation goes something like this. Well, the Scientologists don't technically own X. Therefore, I own X. Well, no, just because the Scientologists don't own X doesn't mean you have exclusive control of X. The whole point of X is it's not owned by anyone. It's not supposed to be owned by you, not be owned by any protesters. It's a collective thing for all citizens of Clearwater, right? That is the idea. It's not meant to be partitioned off to the Scientologists or any other group, right? And Aaron is literally affirming on camera, yeah, this is a group. This is the Clearwater crew. This is ours now. This is the part of the kingdom of the Church of Iran. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, this is really skating near the line of vandalism because, again, it's one thing to say, well, they're doing very creative protest art and postmodern. That's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. They're just trying to be very, very annoying and very, very vocal. Now, some of the protests is fine, whether you like it or not. It's like, okay, there's whatever, standing there with signs. But that's not enough because Aaron's just bouncing all over the place, just constantly tearing up the street with his chalk art, quotation marks. So for me, this is really clearly trying to follow the DOA Streets LA strategy. The more he gets in trouble, the bigger and more popular he gets. But I don't think that's the right way to look at it. And it isn't really showing up. He is getting more subscribers, but it's not exploding. And people do seem to be watching the videos, but they are kind of just taking it for what it is. I mean, this is really what it is, right? As opposed to what Aaron is saying it is. He's saying, this is a great protest. It is just silly, garbage, entertainment nonsense. It's just meant to be flashy entertainment trash for his audience. And again, it's YouTube. Within the boundaries, you can do that. But the question is, legally speaking, can he get away with it? I don't know. I don't think he can because a judge, and again, let's be very clear, the Clearwater police are very corrupt, but any police force, any judge would be like, this seems awfully suspicious that you're creating this public nuisance just to monetize this for content, right? And again, I don't like the way Scientology operates, but if you're specifically demonizing any group, that is legally going to be very suspicious because they'd ask, well, wait a minute, if this is just about public property and public protest, why aren't you protesting other places? Why is it only in front of this building? Why is it only Scientologists you're targeting? What are the reasons, right? It's one thing to have a dedicated protest to XYZ, but if you're exclusively targeting one group for very flimsy reasons, I mean, the reason is just to make himself King Aaronis of his little corner of the internet, that's a different thing. And it is a private benefit, right? SBT Foundation is not really a public charity, right? It does seem to be what it is. It's a private corporation made for the purpose of helping him and Jenna. It's not really a public charity. So once you get through all these moronic fictions that they're publishing, it's like, yeah, this seems just what it is. You're doing the street party. You monetize by filming it, but it's not about protecting public property from the Scientologists. It's commandeering the public property for your private benefit. I'm not so sure legally that's going to hold up, but we'll wait and see. It could be the police are just lazy, or they're taking a lot of notes and racking up charge after charge. And Aaronis realizes that one of these charges is going to stick. and he's not going to be able to defend himself.